weirdly, on one side of the Republican spectrum, you have Lindsey Graham. On the other hand, you have Tucker Carlson coming out very strongly opposed. He issued a statement in his morning newsletter today saying, "We'd like to take this opportunity to state our position as clearly as possible. The United States should not at any level participate in a war with Iran. No funding, no American weapons, no troops on the ground. Regardless of what our special ally says, a fight with the Iranians has nothing to offer the United States. It is not in our national interest. If Israel wants to wage this war, it has every right to do so. It is a sovereign country and can do as it pleases, but not with America's backing. At an absolute minimum, the United States continuing to insert itself into this conflict will further whip up the radical Islamic world's hatred for the West and fuel the next generation of terrorism. The worst case, thousands of immediate American deaths, all in the name of a foreign agenda that has nothing to do with our country." What do you think is going to end up happening to the conservative kind of movement at this juncture when you have now Donald Trump, who's been presenting himself as like this sort of plausible anti-war candidate, is now the face of this, what could be an incredibly damaging escalation in the Middle East that the neocons, as you said, have been salivating for decades. While you have someone like Tucker Carlson, who's been faithfully parroting and encouraging Donald Trump as this anti-war candidate with his enormous audience, is willing to come out and take such a strong line saying, not on our watch. This is not what we want. This is not what the country voted for.
Mm-hmm. I think that Tucker, I mean, God, let's not forget that he was one of the premier Iraq war propagandists for decades.
Let us not forget.
And look, I am happy that he is finding his anti-war voice now, but let us not forget that there is this kind of glaring faction within the Republican Party, and it has been ever since the Russiagate stuff. I mean, I think people like Tucker, they want war with China. They think China is the worthy adversary. Everything else is a distraction. And they think picking off Russia, and that's why they want to ally with Russia, because Russia and China having an alliance is really, really bad for American hegemony. So I think people like Tucker just, with their worldview, they're strategic. And they're thinking this is a disaster because this isn't the real enemy. But people like Lindsey Graham and Marco Rubio, they're just old school neocon crazy maniacs. I mean, these people are psychotic, genocidal maniacs, and they're just so brazenly open about what they want. And they have dehumanized Muslims and Arabs to such an extreme degree that this is just nothing. I mean, that's what's so crazy. It's like if your worldview and your political ideology justifies and rationalizes bombing children, I can't get on that level. Like, I can't get on that page with you. I believe in diplomacy and negotiations. I believe in peace. That should be the absolute last resort. And the fact that the majority of our politicians are like that, Brie, I mean, even the genocide revealed that all of them actually think that genocide is justified for no reason at all. And it's just this huge schism between the American people and what our political leaders are doing in our name. And it's getting to such an extreme point that something has to break dramatically.
The something has to break, I think, is why, despite how dark this moment is, it does feel, for me at least, as a sort of political commentator on the left, like there's a lot of potential energy in the moment because there's this enormous void that's being left behind by now the Republican Party fully exposing itself as not an anti-war party, at least in terms of its leadership, and the Democratic Party, who, to your point, demonstrated its willingness to fully align with Trump's Gaza policies because they are the uniparty's Gaza party policies, Israel policies. And Kamala Harris arguably lost in large part, in majority part, according to the IMEU poll, because of her unwillingness to put any distance between herself and Joe Biden. Now, that being said, we have playing out in the New York mayoral race a sort of example for how to go up against neoliberal politics, including the uniparty's approach to the Middle East, that isn't the sort of triangulating, pussyfooting, I can't say my truth if I want to win the election, we got to move to the right approach the Democratic Party has been taking. and losing with, at least in the last cycle and the cycle before the one before that.
To Mr. Cuomo, I have never had to resign in disgrace. I have never cut Medicaid. I have never stolen hundreds of millions of dollars from the MTA. I have never hounded the 13 women who credibly accused me of sexual harassment. I have never sued for their gynecological records, and I have never done those things because I am not you, Mr. Cuomo. And furthermore, the name is Mamdani, M-A-M-D-A-N-I. You should learn how to say it because we got to get it right.
I wonder what you make of this phenomenon and Zohran Mamdani in particular's response to this repeated question he keeps getting about whether or not he would visit Israel and would support its right to exist.
Visit by a mayor of New York is always considered significant. Where would you go first? Mr. Cuomo?
Given the hostility and the anti-Semitism that has been shown in New York, I would go to Israel.
Mr. Tilson, where would you go?
Yeah, I'd make my 4th trip to Israel, followed by my 5th trip to Ukraine, 2 of our greatest allies fighting on the front lines of the global war on terror.
Mr. Mamdani.
I would stay in New York City. My plans are to address New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs and focus on that.
Mr. Mamdani, can I just jump in? Would you visit Israel as mayor?
I will be doing, as the mayor, I'll be standing up for Jewish New Yorkers, and I'll be meeting them wherever they are across the 5 boroughs, whether that's in their synagogues and temples or at their homes or at the subway platform, because ultimately we need to focus on delivering on their concerns.
And just yes or no, do you believe in a Jewish state of Israel?
I believe Israel has the right to exist.
Not
as a Jewish state?
As a state with equal rights.
He won't
Not as
say
a
it
Jewish
has a
state.
right to exist as a Jewish state. Be very
And
clear
his
on
answer
that.
was no, he won't visit Israel.
I said that very
That's what he
clearly.
was
Unlike
trying
you-
to say.
No, unlike
No,
you, I
you
answer,
never-
unlike
you
you, I
never
answer
said
questions
no.
very
Okay.
directly,
All right, I
and
think
I
we're
want to be
clear. You
very
answered-
clear. I
you
believe
answered-
every state should be a state of equal rights.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Mamdani.
This has always been such a disingenuous, bad faith question that's been posed to anti-Zionists for so long, because it makes you put on the defense, of course, that you're clamoring to explain why an ethno-state should exist for a particular religious group. And I think, again, even I didn't have the confidence to really debunk that before. And now it's so overwhelmingly stupid of a question.
Yeah.
Just the nature of the question itself. Does Israel have a right to exist? Israel does exist. Israel is a member of the national security, like that, like they are a voting member of the UNGA. Like Israel exists. It has its borders. It doesn't respect its own borders. It exists. There's no legal right for a state to exist. Like that doesn't even make sense legally. So it's just so disingenuous and kind of crazy. And so, and his answer to that was so incredible because he just totally diluted it by just saying, I believe in equal rights. And it just flips the question on its head because it makes it very obvious that Israel is an apartheid state, that it is a Jim Crow style second-class citizenry for the Palestinians that live there. There's a military occupation. So for him to just simply say, I'm not comfortable with a Jewish-only state because I believe in human rights for everyone, flabbergasts the people who are trying to debunk him. And they just can't understand it. They're just like, wait, what do you mean? And so then what he's doing is genius because it's just putting people on the defense to then have them explain why they don't support equal rights and democracy.
Yeah.
So this whole notion that Israel is the only democracy in the Middle East, it's just so fake and completely untrue that it just takes someone just flipping it around and being like, no, I believe in human rights. Why don't you? And that's what we should all do. We need to have the confidence to tamp down on this kind of disingenuous, bad faith rhetoric that comes at us from the Zionists, because that's all it is.
Yeah, it's honestly incredible. First of all, it's incredible that it's taken all of us kind of this long to get to this confidence point.
Yeah.
But it's precisely because of Israel's genocide that we've all been pushed into really, I think, being more strident and being willing to take the risks of the blowback and saying the true thing. I remember I did this like dissident dialogues event that was, it was supposed to be like free speech, anti-establishment sort of thing, but it was all conservatives and me. And I was participating in this panel on Israel and the genocide. And I remember making this argument. Now, this was in the spring of 2024, and we weren't quite as far. I mean, we have made huge rhetorical leaps and bounds, and we've all gotten a lot more comfortable with this. Norm Finkelstein's been out there talking very explicitly about this being Jewish supremacy, that he's not going to say Zionism anymore. He's going to say Jewish supremacy. And like the goalposts are like fully moved in the right direction. But back then, I remember trying to appeal to this audience of conservatives, frankly, by leveraging the idea of American values and saying, well, we're a pluralistic society. We believe in equality. Our founding fathers, who were so great, LOL. But for the sake of argument, our founding fathers, who were so great, whom you love so much, enshrined these principles in the Constitution. And even if they didn't immediately live up to them, we believe this is a country where your religion and your race and all of these things shouldn't determine the level of your citizenship. We fought a civil war over this idea, and our forefathers, our ancestors, they fought and they bled. And don't you know, equality is the point. What they have in Israel should not have a right to exist because it's unequal. And I got to tell you, it floated like a lead balloon. Like the audience was not having it. So it was really. It's been really encouraging to see. I mean, that was like a tough room, like regardless, but it's been really encouraging to see Zohran take up what felt to me like an extremely radical argument a year ago, and for it to be going over so well. And you've got like you see the video of like the New Yorker lady, like I think she's got like reddish hair, coming up to him in the street being like, you're going to lose because you're too bad on Israel. Like everyone's like clowning her, like she sounds crazy. Yeah, you sound crazy. There are 1,000 parody videos that are like, oh, what are we going to talk about next? Like, how do you feel about Cyprus? And like, you know, what's your stance on Togo? Like, it sounds crazy, but you don't get to make them sound crazy unless you're confident enough to be on the front foot instead of playing all of this defensive three-dimensional chess all the time.
Exactly, and I think it's so revealing of just how unnecessarily obsessive. Like Israel-centric New York politics are for no reason. Like I'm sure New York has a lot of problems to deal with. I don't think that like constant questioning about Israel and are you going to visit Israel? Who gives a shit? Like he's not running for the mayor of Tel Aviv. Like it's just insane that this is even allowed. And I think the average New Yorker should be like, wait a minute, I can't pay my gas bill. Like why am I only seeing this guy be asked questions about Israel? That should make the average person very concerned. And so I think it is having the opposite effect by their constant badgering of him. It's making people turned off. And his confidence and his gentle nature of just being like, like I actually believe in democracy and human rights. People are like, oh, wait, maybe I'm thinking about this wrong. So it's amazing. And I think the polling shows that we simply don't know. I mean, to your point, it's really easy to paint society with a broad brush right now because of just the apathy and lack of empathy, at least that I see. But the polling in New York shows that, look, people's finger are on the pulse more than we think, perhaps. I think that the propaganda does not work. I think that, look, the right has seized this notion of fake news, legacy media in a very smart way and gravitated a lot of people over to right-wing media. That distrust is innate. And I think it stems from 9/11 and the war on terror. And that's not just going to go away easily. I think there's something deeply, deeply wrong in this country. And people have a deep, deep distrust in institutions and the government. And where does that go? Unfortunately, a lot of it has filtered into the right, but a lot of it's still sitting there, bubbling. The class warfare is about to bubble over and boil over. So and it's hard to gauge unless you're really out. But I think the ICE deportation raids, I mean, to your point, the Democratic Party actually was supporting deportations, mass deportations. We know what happened under Obama and Biden. And when Trump won, they were saying, hey, maybe we should have been harder on immigrants. Hey, maybe we should take a cue from the Republicans. But we see the reaction to these Gestapo-style raids and kidnappings of innocent people off the streets along with their families. It's horror. It's terror. And average people in this country don't want their neighbors to be kidnapped and thrown into unmarked vehicles and sent to prison camps around the world. They're out there mobilizing, putting their bodies on the lines. It's amazing to see this. And again, connecting the connective tissue with all of these movements. It's incredible. And so I think that the Democrats have failed so abysmally. If we don't coalesce now and start to actually organize a working class movement that's comprised of union power, none of this is going anywhere, Brie. We know that. And I'm hoping that the election was a radicalizing moment and a galvanizing moment to reveal the true nature of the system. Because, like you said, it's a uniparty. It's a uniparty.
I hope so. I hope so too. But I guess this is why I keep coming back to like, so what's the deal? What's the deal with Tucker Carlson? Like, I don't know. Okay. I have no interest in being at all naive about someone like Tucker Carlson. And I think your point about him being one of the biggest cheerleaders of the Iraq War should be front of mind. That being said, outside of Tucker Carlson, what he's clearly harnessing and what Donald Trump harnessed was what feels like a sincere anti-war commitment from various parts of the American public, independents or whomever, who were radicalized by the Iraq War and who aren't interested in being yet another generation of young people being shipped off to fight, and who voted for Donald Trump precisely because he postured as an anti-war candidate. And if that audience exists, if that community of citizens exists in such numbers that Tucker Carlson sees what side of the bread is buttered, enough to want to pitch to them, even if we believe it's in bad faith, then what opportunities exist for a left movement to capture that audience? What is someone like Tucker Carlson going to say in an electoral context when Donald Trump is the face of war with Iran and American troops being sent to Iran? Where does he land in that? Is this the end of this sort of faux populist right movement and we go back into a neoconservative movement? Does something else come out of this? And what hope do you have? This is a rhetorical question, that the Democratic Party is going to do anything with this void? Because this is the concern. Yeah. There is a vulnerability here, this is what I'm trying to get to, that is emerging because of Trump's actions in this moment. And I'm not confident that that vulnerability is going to be meaningfully exploited by Democrats or, frankly, by the left because of our sort of current disorganization.
Yeah, no, there's this circular firing squad, which kills me. It is unbelievably sectarian and campist, and I hate it. And that's why I'm not a member of a political party, because it is so discouraging how much the left eats itself. We need broad coalitions and we need to build unity coalitions. Very simple. Do you want to win or not? And as far as Tucker's audience, yes, of course, there is an audience worth trying to capture, of course. I mean, the Dave Smith audience. I mean, all of these libertarians, I used to be a misguided libertarian 20 years ago before I understood capitalism and how it's really the central mode of what causes imperialism. And so, of course, anyone who is disgusted with the fact that we're in a global military empire subjugating tens of millions of people under our boot, I don't care what your economics are, that is worth trying to capture, Brie, and trying to get on the same page about. And especially, like you said, I mean, the fact that Trump did pose as the anti-war candidate constantly. People who just didn't have time to really parse through the policies or whatever and just heard that rhetoric, absolutely. People are disgusted with endless wars. Even Biden was actually posing as the anti-war candidate. Remember, he was saying, no more endless wars. I mean, the whole Afghanistan closure, all of that. So it's hard to discount the anti-war sentiment with where we have gone politically, because Obama, of course, posited as the anti-war candidate. He was going to, the Bush administration was coming to a close. So I do think that that's there. And it's worth trying to capture all of it. Will the Democrats do it? Absolutely not. The Democrats are warmongering pigs, and we've seen them just double down on right-wing politics and racism and anti-leftism after the election. I mean, you saw Jake Tapper and all these pundits basically saying we need to bow down to the Trump mandate. We were wrong. I mean, again, just ignoring the left bloc, ignoring the disenfranchised voters, ignoring 50% of the country who doesn't engage. That would be a failed democracy anywhere else in the world. Oh my God, only 50%. I mean, I know that there was a larger voting turnout last time, but you know what I mean? The vast majority of people simply are not engaged at all. So the Democrats are not going to do anything at all, and they will continue to lose because they have no vision. They are Republican light. If you don't have a bold vision of anything, no one's going to invest in you. And they've just failed us so much, Brie. I think the genocide has really cemented the death of the Democratic Party. As far as where the Republicans are going to go, look, they could just go total one camp and line up behind the leader because they are kind of a hive mind. Or we could see a break. We could see this kind of sectarian break. And I think we will continue to see one faction speak out against Israel, and I don't know where that's going to go or where that stems from, if it's maybe more anti-Semitic coded or not with the America First stuff and Zog and all that shit. But I don't think it's going to go far because I think Trump is fully in the mode of going where the wind blows, and he has neocons up his ass like he always has from the beginning. And he just wants to make money at the end of the day. I don't even think that he has any reigning ideology, which is almost more terrifying.
I mean, the man is hosting a military parade on his birthday. So I don't know how he's going to continue to at all present himself as the anti-war candidate. I want to credit Michael Tracy dug up a couple of these clips of people in the Trump camp lauding him for his anti-war bona fides. I think it's worth playing them through because they really are cringe and incredibly embarrassing in the wake of today's events. Can we play those two clips?
5D chess.
And I think that there's a big, big thing going on in American politics. It's a very interesting theme in American foreign policy where a lot of former members of the Pentagon bureaucracy, a lot of old neoconservatives, they have a fundamental difference with Donald Trump on the question of peace and war. I believe Donald Trump is the candidate of peace. I think the record supports that. But the reason these guys go after him so vociferously, I don't think that it's about his personality, Jake. I think that it's about they don't like that Donald Trump said no when a lot of them wanted to start a ridiculous war.
A vote for Donald Trump is a vote for a man who wants to end wars, not start them, and who has demonstrated already that he has the courage and strength to stand up and fight for peace. History will look back on us at this moment for the choice that we make. Did we choose war or peace? Did we choose poverty or prosperity? Did we choose censorship or freedom?
President Trump called me 3 hours after his shooting. And he said, would I come and sit down with them? And he said to me during that meeting, he said, there are some things that we can agree on and some we disagree on, but the landscapes on which we agree are so much larger. He said, I want to end the wars. I want to end this surveillance and censorship. I want to protect the Constitution. I want to protect freedom of speech. Oh, you think that we deserve a president who's going to end the warfare state and rebuild the middle class? Oh, you want a president who's going to put America first?
I'm sorry, you're probably gonna get this, but I can't see him talk without thinking of him jerking off on the baby bear rug, FaceTiming with Olivia Newsy. I can't. The whole thing. Oh, and Tulsi Gabbard. I mean, good God, have some shame, have some humility, Lord. Can you imagine?
She was, she was one of ours. It wasn't so long ago that we were all sitting around saying how brave it was for her to have broken ranks and endorsed Bernie Sanders 8 years ago. And now here we are, not just a flip-flop, but a flip-flop on one of the issues that was supposed to be so core to her identity. I mean, it's funny because during the primary that wasn't, when all of these folks started to, align with Donald Trump, obviously RFK Jr. was running as a Democrat, and then he was running as an independent, and then he dropped out, and then Trump courted him, and he went over there. There was this kind of evolution of how he was being perceived and how much benefit of the doubt he should get, and his Israel commitments I think really like the breaking the dam. But prior to him coming out with Rabbi Shmuley as such a Zionist and breaking from Dennis Kucinich, who was his campaign manager, there was this sort of plausible deniability about him in particular. And it was reminiscent of this sort of plausible deniability that existed around Tulsi Gabbard right up until she like joined the Trump administration and like disclaimed that she was a member of the left or whatever she did. And it's difficult to watch, I gotta say, because covering it, and I don't know how you felt, I was very aware that there were people in my audience who really who saw that there was a lot of bad faith attacking happening on RFK Jr. in particular, and who wanted him to be given the benefit of the doubt. And I know that I personally made a choice of like, he's gonna hang himself eventually, give him enough rope. But it was frustrating to sort of see the slow moving car wreck happen, not because of like, to your point, like the silliness of like the bear rug or like the shooting the bear at the Central Park and eating the car, like and the car that smells like dogs and all of this like outsized weird personality stuff, but because of who he is and his unwillingness to break from the kind of corporate capture that makes the two parties we already have so bad. The willingness to say, I'm going to pick a billionaire as my VP so I have enough money just to independently fund without needing the buy-in from the public. And I can just basically buy my way into polling with a Super Bowl ad. You know, like that was the kind of stuff that I would have wished that people were more like self-aware about. That being said, here we are.
I mean,
I don't know how
it's a really good point, actually, because the Republicans were very smart. I mean, when I saw that the Trump campaign was like getting dialed into Theo Vaughn and Joe Rogan, and you saw the folding into this podcast circuit with the RNC, I was like, oh, this is really incredibly smart and shows just how out of touch the Democrats are. The fact that she only went on that one show that she like paid the fake set or whatever. It was like just a total flop.
It's like $1 million for a sofa and a set for someone who already has a set.
After begging donations from people, it's like, this is where the $5 donations are going to pay this random. It's really beyond comprehension that that's what their strategy was. But again, it shows the dialed in nature, like Tulsi Gabbard. I mean, I laughed when that was floated that she would actually be like entertained for a position, but it's so smart in retrospect. You fold in the person, the anti-regime change war person. You fold in the person who's like the anti-surveillance, like defending whistleblowers. Like you have that sect. You know, it's like checking all these boxes, folding in you got the JD Vance, the Peter Thiel networks, the poor people in Appalachia. It's like they knew exactly what they were doing. And it was extremely smart looking at it. RFK Jr., you're absolutely right. The corporate media totally unfairly maligned him and Tulsi for the wrong reasons.
For the wrong reasons.
I think that he's a horrible person for what he says about HIV and AIDS. I don't care about him banning like disgusting chemicals in our food. Like, I want that.
Hey YouTube, thanks for watching. Just a reminder that this is a podcast. You can catch an extra premium episode every Monday for $5 a month at patreon.com/badfaithpodcast. That's patreon.com/badfaithpodcast for $5 a month, an extra episode every week. Additionally, please do consider liking this video, subscribing to this channel. It helps us out. It helps independent media beat the algorithm. We appreciate you. And as always, keep the faith.